We are finally with the opportunity to talk about the safety position for the Minnesota Vikings heading into 2021, and this will conclude the evaluation videos for the defense prior to any free agency moves or NFL draft picks that are going to occur this offseason. So, this is a problem. The safety position is one that currently lacks depth. They intentionally went into last season with very little behind the starters to start 2020. And we're definitely going to need new talent at this position both this year and next year. So where do we start? Well, we start with what we currently have signed under contract, and that is only 3 players: Harrison Smith, Josh Mattellis, and Dorn, who I don't believe saw the field at all last year. And if he did, I didn't notice it. So Harrison Smith still remains one of the best safeties in the league. And last year, I believe that he was getting picked on by NFL officiating, where he got ejected from the one game and seemed to just draw personal fouls left and right because of just how good he is at hitting people. They don't call him the hitman for nothing. So Harrison Smith has been the discussion of potential trade rumors, maybe cap casualty, maybe a restructured contract to remain with the team this year. He enters the last year of his deal. He'll be a free agent after this season if he does not extended. He's in his 9th year, 32 years old. I think we still got a couple of good seasons that we can get out of Harrison Smith. He's still a really good player. He's still a really important leader in the locker room, if you will. And I think he's really important to the development of the young corners that we currently have in Jeff Gladney and Cam Dantzler. And let's face it, Harrison Smith was basically playing by himself out there for most of the season, if not just the majority of the second half, because Anthony Harris, who is not listed up at the top because he's currently not under contract. He played on the franchise tag last year. Anthony Harris was just a huge disappointment. And that's one of the things that I don't think a lot of people saw coming or really, think to formulate in their analysis of the Vikings defense when it comes to last season, because everybody wants to point to the Anthony Barnes, Hunter injuries, and just the overall lack of production by the front seven. A lot of what happened in the secondary gets blamed on the front seven, and that's a legitimate argument. But there's also the problem that Anthony Harris was a major letdown last season. I went into last season, and I think if you watch the preview video I did for the Vikings heading into 2020, I think I called Harris and Harrison Smith the best safety tandem in the NFL, or at least one of, and that just turned out to not be the case. It was wildly incorrect because Anthony Harris just, I don't know, he regressed so much where thankfully, we only had him on the franchise tag and we didn't give him a big contract extension, so we lucked out. So we'll let him walk in free agency. I don't think he's going to return. Right underneath Dorn's nameplate right there, you see those percentages there. Vikings free agents, Harris at 20% and George Aloka at 20% as well. Chad Graff of The Athletic, beat writer for the Vikings, that covers the Vikings, gives both Anthony Harris and George Aloka a 20% chance each to return to the team this year. Very, very low. George Aloka, who tore his ACL, I believe, before the bye week in one of the last practices, that led to another just a horrific situation in terms of depth and managing what they were able to do in terms of, just putting talent on the field on the defense this year. Is just one of those things that don't really get talked about because there was just so much attrition suffered by the Vikings in 2020. But Chad Graff believes that both of these players will likely be with new teams next year, and that's just sort of the way that it goes, I guess. Josh Mattellis was, I believe, a 6th or 7th round pick last year. I believe he got cut originally, and then they brought him back on the practice squad. And then Dorn, who I really don't know much about at all, unfortunately, was an undrafted free agent. So we're entering a situation where this is a top priority need for the Vikings this offseason, whether it be through free agency or the NFL draft. Now, if you watch the 7th-round mock draft video that I posted this week, we talked about Richie Grant, getting him in the 2nd round. There's a lot of good prospects in the first 2 days of the NFL draft when it comes to the safety position. We've talked about Trayvon Mulrig. We did a profile on him on this video. You could check that out. I'll leave a link in the description if I remember to put it in there. There's also the other ones to consider, like Richie Grant, who we've mentioned, Darius Washington, Elijah Molden, Andre Sisco from Syracuse, Paris Ford from Pitt. Just a whole bunch of names that you could consider. The problem is, I think after the third round, the talent pool for the safety position drops off significantly. If we can't get somebody like a Richie Grant or an Andre Cisco, we should probably turn to free agency to get a veteran in here, at least on a one-year deal, to sort of figure things out. I think because of the salary cap and the way that the fluid situation is going this offseason with the salary cap numbers, we could be looking at a lot of free agents deciding to get on a one-year deal, on a one-year contract deal, and then have the freedom to do whatever they want next season when things should stabilize once we sort of claw our way out of this pandemic. And NFL revenue should go back to normal, at least somewhat. So for the free agents, I mean, there's just so many. I mean, Justin Simmons, Keanu O'Neal, Carl Joseph, Trey Boston, who was just cut yesterday, Malik Hooker, Daniel Sorensen. That's just a few of the names. I just kind of grabbed like the top 6. And so there's options. The problem is, as of right now, we don't exactly have the money to lure free agents to the Minnesota Vikings, right? There's not much that they can offer them in terms of maybe other than something that a one-year deal. So the safety position for the Vikings right now is in flux. Harrison Smith, as long as we have him, we're in good shape. Maybe you only need a Harrison Smith and then just somebody else with a pulse on the other side. I think anybody right now would be an upgrade. Any of these free agents and any of these rookies, I think, would be an upgrade over Anthony Harris. His season is just such an enigma that I really can't even begin to make excuses for what happened to him and why he regressed so bad. But Harrison Smith, I believe, is still viable, all-pro, one of the best at the position. He'll be fine in his final year of his contract. Maybe they do restructure, extend him an extra year to sort of backload the contract, give us some more money this year to free up. A free agent that I would probably go after would probably be Justin Simmons, but I think he's going to demand the top market value in the free agent market, so I don't think he's going to be affordable. As far as the draft goes, I'm a big fan of Richie Grant. It's going to be hard to get him without a second-round pick. It's going to be really hard to get a lot of these rookies without a second-round pick. So the Vikings are in a very tough spot when it comes to how they're going to be able to handle the situation. I don't think you can go into the next season with Josh Mattellis as the starter opposite of Harrison Smith. I don't think that's viable. So in this situation, I think the best route probably to go is if you get priced out of the free agent market, go with the NFL draft. You can get a good safety with one of your 2 third-round picks, and I believe Rick Spielman will find a way to get a second-round pick. So either second or third-round safety in the NFL draft, I think is I don't want to say a stone cold lead-pipe lock, but I think it's looking that way. So we do need better play out of the safety position, and then hopefully with the development of the corners, Gladney, Dantzler, and company, they'll be more free to do the things that they normally do without having to assist the corners so much because of the what happened last year with the lack of the offseason, the lack of the preseason. Now that the corners got their feet wet in the worst way possible, they can sort of take off the training wheels and do things more on their own, and the safeties can go back to doing what they do best, and making sure we can get more blitzes, more involved in being on the line of scrimmage, disguising coverages, and not just having to play cover 2 or safety help for these inexperienced corners. Hopefully that their development is far enough along where we can get back to what Mike Zimmer wants to do best on defense. So that's going to do it for this draft, or this roster evaluation for the safety position for the Minnesota Vikings. We will switch to the offense next week, starting with the offensive line. Hope to see you there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.